007, or the Day of the Cobra, the Red Cobra. This is about the assassination of Congressman Lawrence McDonald, who was the head of the John Birch Society at the time, president of the John Birch Society. And it was about maybe approximately 70 American women and children, citizens on this plane. Soviet jets shot it down, knowing that Congressman Lawrence McDonald was in the plane. And matter of fact, he was even more effective than Ron Paul. They had to eliminate him, and they did. The old communist trick is that when you want to assassinate somebody, you do it in a crowd. So here he was in a plane with over 100 people in it. About 70 of them or so were American citizens. So when the plane gets shot down, it doesn't look like they were trying to kill Lawrence McDonald, but that's the reason why the plane was shot down. They wanted to eliminate him. And of course, that's an act of war, and the United States did absolutely nothing. And keeping in mind, that was when Ronald Reagan was president.
I remember that going down.
Yeah.
It was by Korea,
Ronald
wasn't it?
Reagan did absolutely nothing about it. Matter of fact,
Was it near Korea?
When they had the memorial service, it was a Korean airliner, when they had the memorial service for Congressman McDonald, Ronald Reagan did not attend. Okay?
I remember that plane getting shot down.
Yeah. When Israel is attacked, or any important people in Israeli government is attacked, the Israelis return, they retaliate. But we did absolutely nothing. The least we could have done is broken diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union and cutting off all aid and recognition, but we didn't do that. And they killed an American congressman, and I think it was 67 Americans, women and children. And we did nothing. And that's Ronald Reagan. He's the great, all the big talk about how the evil empire and communism and how important freedom is, and he did nothing. Actions speak louder than words, and so all his pretty speeches about freedom and the dangers of communism were just talk, words, no action. Then we have here betrayal by rulers, how our leaders betrayed Eastern Europe to communism and along with other countries, so that Russia took over large areas of the world. And again, may God forgive us, by Robert Wood, the founder of the John Birch Society, and this has to do with the State Department's betrayal of China, the Chinese nationalists in World War II, betrayal and allowing Mao Zedong to take over because we supported Mao Zedong rather than Chiang Kai-shek, even though Chiang Kai-shek was our ally during World War II. I read those. Also, I read America's Treat from Victory by Senator McCarthy, and The Fight for America by Senator McCarthy. And who promoted Perez? He was a communist in the U.S. Army base at Fort Mammoth who was trying to expose the communist infiltration of the military base. And it got so hairy that Eisenhower, the so-called great anti-communist, decided to move to have him censored, and they shut him down. Spies, dupes, and diplomats, I've read major portions of these too. The sword spy ring, this has to do with communist infiltration in the U.S. State Department during World War II.
What are the names of those books you have?
What's that?
What are the names of those books you have?
They are Spies, Dupes, and Diplomats. The Sword Spy Ring. Sword was a Soviet agent in Japan, in Tokyo. And the Sword Spy Ring had agents in Berlin, Moscow, Tokyo, and Washington.
Are you seeing swords?
Swords.
Swords.
Swords. George Swords.
Oh, and then what's the author?
What's that?
Who's the author?
Oh, the author is Charles A. Willoughby. He was how should I put it, intelligence officer, worked side by side with Douglas MacArthur. And, but anyways, then also we have another one now, Seeds of Treason, on the same subject, but they all have some knowledge that the others don't have. This is the His Chambers case. Alger Hiss was a Soviet agent. He was an advisor to FDR. He was in the State Department. He's the one that helped decide on behalf of Roosevelt the outcome of World War II and allowing the Soviets to take China and Eastern Europe. So that's why I call it Seeds of Treason. Whittaker Chambers was the one who was in the same Soviet cell as Alger Hiss was, and Chambers came out of the woodwork to the hearings in Congress and fingered Alger as a Soviet agent. That's how he was exposed. This stuff you won't find in history books because what they're doing, they're rewriting history, and a lot of it by omission, the sin of omission. They just don't put it in the history books anymore. The What Am I Reports, I read this fascinating book, shows the betrayal of China to the communists by the State Department, and also the betrayal of Eastern Europe by the State Department. And obviously, Wedemeyer was a general in World War II. He was sent to China to try to work things out with Chiang Kai-shek. He came back with a report saying that the communists in the State Department were selling Chiang Kai-shek out, that if we didn't reverse the policy, we would lose China to the communists. The State Department, Truman refused to reverse the situation, and the rest is history. China is now a very powerful communist nation and a direct threat to the United States because they ignored the Wedemeyer reports, the warning that we had to save Chiang Kai-shek, and we didn't do it. The life of John Birch. He served under General Chennault. General Chennault had to do with the Flying Tigers in World War II. And here, John Birch is being decorated because he's the one, and you don't find it in history books, he's the one that rescued the Doolittle Raiders after they bombed Tokyo. They made the Tokyo raid. They landed on the coast of China. It was John Birch who was involved in underground intelligence in China, in Japanese-held territory, and got the Doolittle Raiders out of Japanese-held territory, and they returned to the United States. He was the first American that we know of that was murdered by the communists about 10 days after World War II ended, and it was kept secret. Because we were supporting Mao Zedong, the Chinese communists. Let me see, I read this book here, How the Far East Was Lost, How the Communists Took Over China with the help of the U.S. State Department. A lot of meticulous documentation, footnoting, hearings, testimonies, affidavits, it's all in here, how we sold out China to the communists, and now we're going to pay the price. All we need is to move to China, and China is now a tremendous military and economic threat to the United States, all because of the betrayals at the end of World War II, which you won't find in history books.
Will you hold that book up so I can see the end of it?
You can see the hammer and sickle overshadowing the Chinese dragon.
And that's Anthony something?
No, it's Anthony Kubik.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He was a researcher.
I just assumed wrong.
And also, you have, let me see, While You Slept, I read this one. How the Communists Took Over China. Again, there's a whole section here, about maybe 10 books or so, documented evidence of how the State Department betrayed Chiang Kai-shek and China to the communists. And you have another one here, written by a former communist, The China Story, by Utley. She was a member of a Soviet cell, but she defected and wrote this book describing how we betrayed them. This is way back in 1951. A lot of these books go way back to the early 50s. We got books here, The Sellout of Cuba to the Communists, with the help of the State Department again. Here we have A History of Communism in South Africa, published in South Africa back in the 1880s, showing how the communists and the African National Congress under Mandela were moving to take over South Africa. Now South Africa is a communist country, and they've already started a reign of terror to consolidate their power.
When was the years of that book?
What's that?
What were the years? The years. What
the years? I get the actual date. 1985. Published in South Africa. And again, our State Department, the federal government, betrayed South Africa to the African National Congress, which its central committee is 2/3 members of the South African Communist Party. And they were terrorists, as they still are, and our State Department supported them.
The end? The end. Say goodbye, Robert.
Bye.